So, what's up, listeners, and Gerard? What's up, Gerard?
Not much, Justin. What's up with
back.
you?
You're back in Florida.
I am.
As people can see, that is not your usual background.
There are palm trees out my window.
There are palm trees. There's a Christmas tree behind you.
And there's a Christmas
A
tree.
very small one.
There.
The Charlie Brown Christmas tree. What does that mean?
Charlie Brown Christmas tree?
I haven't actually watched. Was it like a small tree?
Oh yeah, it's like a really scraggly little thing. Okay.
Okay.
You remember in high school when Miss K had her scraggly tree with the one ornament on the piano?
Yes, we do. Oh, that's the Charlie Brown.
That's the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Okay, yes, I recognize that from everywhere else. I literally just read a post on Facebook, like not too long ago, that
WNEP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought that was kind of dumb.
The university next door.
Not that WNEP is dumb, just like the story was dumb.
Oh yeah, the story was dumb. Now their Christmas tree is controversial, and I read that and I figured it was going to be a religious thing, or like somehow a racist thing. And no,
the kids just hate the tree, and it's not even that bad of a tree.
Like, why did they write an article on that?
That was what I was wondering.
But they were like, yeah, we interviewed this lacrosse player, and she was like, oh yeah, I sent a bunch of snaps to my friend saying, look, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree is back. And I was like, why is this a story? And I should have looked up who the reporter was.
One, why is it a story? Two, why are people calling it a Charlie Brown Christmas tree? It's like a little scraggly, but it's not actually that bad.
I think people are just dumb. Maybe they knew that they were going to get a news report written about them if they kept making fun of the tree
Charlie Brown Christmas
for years. That's the other thing it said. It said they've been doing that for like years, but like, I don't know. When I read the controversial Christmas tree, I was like,
well, if it's a real Christmas tree, then they should have a different one every year.
That's true, I guess.
Unless they get it from like, scraggly than average Christmas trees company or
like, yeah. Have you seen like these companies now that like repurpose ugly food? Basically, one of them was on Shark Tank the other day. They take like certain like peppers and other like produce, basically. Like grocery stores genuinely will turn away foods like that just because they look bad. Like there's nothing wrong with it. If it just is not aesthetically appealing, they won't put it on shelves. So now these people are creating companies where they take all the
ugly looking food and make it look good.
Yeah, all the produce rejects. Well, they don't make it look good. They just sell it to people.
Oh,
there's nothing actually wrong with
the people that don't care.
They just give it to like homeless people and stuff. And
that's pretty awesome.
Stuff like that. So maybe there's a Christmas tree company that's doing the same thing. That's taking all the rejected Christmas trees and putting them out there so they don't just get like tossed.
Maybe.
So there's that. You have some donuts on your ceiling. What is that?
I do.
Is there a name for that?
Wall clings, maybe?
Wall. Well, isn't that the donuts themselves? I'm talking about the part of your room, like the wall. It's like a hanging wall.
It is a hanging wall, but on the other side of it is my kitchen, and like there are cabinets there, and you always got to watch you don't hit your head. I've done that maybe like once or twice.
All right, so yeah, so you're back in school. How's that going? We're both back in school. Sucks. This is the worst time to be in school. Well, I mean, not for you. You don't have.
You know, my classes are different every month. The audience might not, but my classes are different every month. The new one that I just started, week 1 was very, very rough because I just didn't understand my information as much as I thought I did.
Was this week 1?
Yeah, this was week.
Oh, okay.
All right, that was week 1. This is week 2 that we're in right now. So last week was week 1.
Oh yeah, it was. Then you have like the 2-day week. Was that week 1?
Yeah.
So this was kind of like an extension of week 1, basically. Probably.
Kinda. Yeah.
You didn't really get a week because we had Thanksgiving in there. And, yeah. So how does that work for you? Do you have like finals like every month, or do you just not have finals? Do the classes just kind of abruptly end?
What usually happens is, throughout the month, depending on the class. Well, for most classes, all classes, you're doing projects throughout the month. Some are smaller, some are bigger. Some classes, like the one I'm in now, you have one project that you're working on all month. And usually at the end of the month, it's like, make it look really awesome.
Right.
And then other classes, you have multiple projects that go out throughout the month. And then in the end, it's desired to be more awesome than the first one that you did.
How many classes do you actually have per block, per month?
Out of
at the same time.
Out of my 20-month curriculum, I have roughly around 13 months that are 2 classes, and then 7 months that are 1 class.
Oh, that's not that. Well, it doesn't sound that bad, at least. But they're like really freaking long, from what I understand.
Yeah, they're
like 9 to 5.
They're 8 hours a day. They're set up like a job.
It's like a full. But so is it? One class is 4 hours, and you have that twice?
No, it's one. It's one class is 8 hours long. So like a 2-month. I mean, a 2-class month.
Yeah.
You'll have class A Monday, class B Tuesday, class A Wednesday, something like that. And each one of those days is 8 hours that you're at the school.
So then, aren't you missing out on like the Tuesday, Thursday ones though, because you have one less day of those each week?
Yeah. Usually one class is one class, depending on how there's like an importance kind of scale to all the classes.
It's like a hierarchy of classes.
Yeah, some classes are more crucial than others. Right. So yes, there's usually one that kind of like wins out a little bit more over the other.
Sometimes you have online ones too, don't you? Is it like, do you have semesters? We'll call them whatever the fuck they're called in your case. Do you ever get one like 8-hour, 5-day-a-week class, and then like an online one you do it on your own time? And that counts as 2? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So this month you come you come home and stuff, and you have only online ones. Is it usually one online one?
Yeah, they only
do for the month
they only let you do one online a month.
Okay, so you can't have 2 online classes at the same time.
No,
that's weird.
So if a person wanted to, they could take my entire program that I'm in right now all online. It would just be like 32 months instead of 20.
Oh, okay, all online.
Yeah.
And then they could also take it all not online, right?
Yeah.
Would that be more normal, like 4-year degree type of thing? Do they have those programs at Full Sail? Or would it just be...
I don't know if they have any programs that are that long at Full Sail, actually. I feel like every single one is...
So like every program is like 2 years or less?
in their short style.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So are the classes set up, like, are they paired together, like, specifically? Or do you kind of choose, like say you have classes,
my classes?
A through J. Does it have to be like A, B, then C, D, then E, F? Or could it be like A and G, and then like C and J, and can you just kind of pick them?
No, for the most part, it's the same exact thing for every single student.
So they're paired together, like they.
Yeah, that's right. If I showed you my curriculum list right now, there'll be a month list 1 through 20, and all my classes will be listed on it.
Right, and that's not like a suggestion. That's like
every student goes through the process, because beginning classes you're just starting to learn, end classes you pretty much know it all, and they want you to do some harder stuff. So it's a skill developing curriculum.
So, like, if you have... What are you doing, right? Do you have 2 classes right now, or 1 for this?
I have 2 right now.
You have 2 right now, so is it like you're with the same people in both of those classes because they're paired up that way? Like, the classes go hand in hand, or do you have different people in one class than in the other?
The students that started at the same month I did are still with me because we follow... We do follow the same track.
Right.
There were more at the beginning because I'm in the game art program.
Right.
And there are kids in the computer animation program.
So like funnels out, you get like the general.
Yeah. They're very similar to start out with.
Right.
But then once we got to a certain point, we're like, okay, now you're gonna learn your specific stuff. Branch off. Computer animation kids go that way. Game art kids go that way. So now my classes are even smaller. But I still have
And I mean, that's normal. That's how it works in every school.
Yeah.
You have English and math and science with whoever the hell else goes to that school, but then you have your major classes, your junior, senior year usually.
Yeah, and there's like hardly anyone there.
With like the same 3 people. That's pretty cool. I think but like I'm saying, like, what classes are you taking right now? What are the names of them? It'll make it easier for me to.
Right now, my big one is Project and Portfolio 5. That's the one that I was having trouble on. So it's 5 because I've had 4 other projects and portfolios before that. Believe it or not. No. So the projects and portfolios are most other classes you are learning new skills and like doing tutorial stuff and things like that. The projects and portfolios, you're implementing what you have learned in the other classes into a desired art piece that you're into something for your portfolio. So that's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking right now. That's the one that I'm having a little trouble with. And the other one that I'm taking is, I gotta shut that up. The other one that I'm taking now is Game Animation 2. So I've had kind of an introduction one before. Even though I'm not an animator, we're all still kind of required to take a little bit of that knowledge of animation, making stuff move. So that one's easier, and because it's easier, I'm actually having a little bit more fun with it, even though it's not what I want to do, in a funny way. But it's cool. Last week we had to make some like character types. So we were given one model that's like really generic, no-faced guy or something, and you kind of had to pose them in different ways, and those poses told you what character it was.
Yeah.
So like a strong barbarian type character would be posed kind of like that, compared to like
chest out and like
compared to a goblin, which I would have to pose kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then I had to make an attack animation
at the same time.
And then I had to make. That's like in chorus when Miss Kate told us not to breathe at the same time.
And then you just hear this one collective.
Stagger.
How do we do that?
But anyway, I got to make an attack animation, so I chose my goblin one out of all of them that I made. I chose my goblin one, and I had him do kind of like a jump scratch thing, and then he rolls around, and then it starts all over again. Because in games, because you play video games, when you press the A button multiple times, the same thing happens when you press the A button. So you have to loop them. You have to make them so that they loop back to the original.
Right.
So it's not like.
Right. Like, well, what? How do they? Whose job is it to actually like? I don't know what you even call it. Like, program the controller to know what to do in a video game. Like, who does that connection? Because obviously, like an animation expert or an animation professional of some form, like actually makes the character like move. But like, how does it get from the controller to
who types the letters into the coding software?
Is it a programmer? Is it coding? Is that? I mean, I guess that's how they do it.
I would call it just a coder or a programmer. Yeah, that's what they do. They have like what looks like what's kind of like a weird like geeky sort of text editor. Like we have Microsoft Word. The programmers have like a geeky version of that with a bunch of buttons we don't know, and they type in.
Are you just talking about their coding languages?
Yeah, they have different coding languages.
C++.
Yeah, that's right. C++, Python, things like that.
SQL.
Yeah, and if you say, "Hey, computer, if this happens, then this happens. If you press B, then whatever animation plays." Like it's crazy. It's insane.
I don't understand coding. I got an app the other day. It was supposed to be like a beginner coding app, basically I still have no idea how it works.
Is it for C++?
You can pick, and you can also pick like why you want to learn to code. So, because they have like curriculums basically in it, so I had to say.
So depending on what you want to do with it, say here's our tailored program for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that.
So I did do it for C++, and like I forget, there was 3 options in the beginning. It was like one was specifically for if you're trying to create an app.
Mm-hmm.
One was for if you just want to learn a language, then pick a language. And I forgot what the last one was. The last one might have been like more pro or less pro. It might have been less intense. But I went through like the first couple of lessons, and like It wasn't set up very well. It wasn't very well formatted so that you'd actually have to learn how to do it, because it was just kind of like multiple choice. It would just like teach you something real quick and then give you a multiple choice question.
Yeah, that does
and it was like
difficult.
so like I wasn't actually picking anything up. I just kept picking answers until I got the right one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not understand it at all. I don't understand how coding works.
Neither do I. But it's amazing what some people can do with it. And people use it when they're making 3D art like I am. People have scripts that they've made that kind of help them in their workflow to make stuff quicker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like if your character doesn't have hair and you have to like painstakingly like make the strands of hair come out while the guy next to you has a script that says make this sort of random hair strand on the head, it'll go quicker.
In your like software, like what do you use to actually design your characters for game art for what you do?
We have a couple different programs and they all do something a little differently. So
couldn't you just like save a character or something in the software that you use to get around stuff like that? Like if you made a guy with really like technical or like precise hairs, couldn't you just be like save this guy for the next time I need him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then where do the scripts help? For the
No. The scripts help. Just in how quickly you can create things. If I have to go through and make all my hair follicles like by hand, while the guy next to me already has like random numbers put in to make naturally looking hair through codes that he's already made. Like he's made like one or two already in the past.
That's what I'm saying. You still have to make them.
Yeah. He's just done the work beforehand.
So why couldn't you just like one day sit down and like draw the hair and just save it?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, if I wanted to, if I had the time to, and if I wanted to, I can make all sorts of hairstyles right now if I knew how to make hair, which I don't. But if I did, I could make all sorts of hairstyles right now and just like save them out as like, wig looking things, save them as a file.
Yeah.
And then if I have a character that I want to put hair on and they don't require a certain hairstyle, I'm like, oh, I have all these hairs saved. I could put a wig on one of these. Yeah, you could do that.
Are there like easier or like more beginner based softwares that have stuff like that equipped with them when you get them that just have like, I mean, it would probably look shitty because you wouldn't actually have to make it, but do they make ones that just already have like
like already have 3D stuff that you don't have to make? Yeah, there's one that's actually pretty good. It used to be kind of like weird looking, but because technology has gotten better, like it looks better now. There's Daz 3D, which is pretty popular. And those you can popular. Yeah, those you do get started off with like a base male figure, female figure, things like that. And then from there they have sliders where you can like make the biceps bigger, make the breast bigger, things like that. And you can download more premium stuff if you'd like. Like if someone makes like a super sexy chick or whatever, like I don't know, but if someone makes a super sexy chick that is way better than what you could make, you could download that. You might have to pay some for it, but you can download you can download that, and she or he will have sliders too, but it's already like pretty looking for you. But they have those for character. Daz has those kinds of things you could buy for characters. They have different like hair packs. They have like different animals you can get. You can make full scenes, rendered pretty pictures using.
Do they like sell you the packs? Is that how it works? Is it like, oh, get this pack for $4.99?
Yeah.
Like everything else. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now you can download them illegally from somewhere, which I don't recommend, but
hence illegally. But yeah. So you're a game artist, or that's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Game art is your field as opposed to computer animation, as opposed to programming, as opposed to any of that goes into video game design. What all does go into it? quite a bit, I guess, actually, when you really get down to it.
Yeah.
Are there like game physicists that are in charge of like making sure that like physics works?
Yeah, that would actually probably be. They do have people like that. They would probably be a combination of programmers and animators, because some video games use like a ragdoll kind of physics thing, which is a code you can kind of like code your game to have, where if your character falls, instead of like animating,
well, yeah, that's what I mean.
It'll just be like a ragdoll.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like when you're playing games, like I'm thinking of Grand Theft Auto mainly. If like, how do they make it so that like when you jump off a building, you actually fall first of all, and then when you like open your parachute, it does what a parachute would do, like according to fit. Like, where does the game physics come? Does someone have to like sit there, like mathematically, like calculate how much you would slow down, or at least like make it close? You know, I'm sure.
Yeah. To make it realistic, someone would probably have to either. Well, most of the time you probably wouldn't have to go through math. Most of the time you'd probably look up videos of people doing those things in real life and then try to replicate it as close as you can.
Right, but like these games are so like you could do anything with it. Like I'm thinking of the parachuting, and like if I'm like steering that parachute around, going up and going down, or if I'm like flying a plane,
all those controls have to be programmed
all that
in
stuff.
somehow.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There has to be a physics to
now.
it.
Yeah, now when it comes to falling that you talked about before,
so like virtual gravity.
Yeah, it is a virtual gravity. Most game engines, which are softwares that help you make games, most game engines, if you put a character in an empty scene and hit the play button, they'll fall infinitely in space. They fall by default. So what you have to do is you have to make a ground under them. So the road in Grand Theft Auto, you have a ground under them.
A normal force.
Yeah, and then you turn on a collision for it, so your character will collide with the road when they fall.
Right.
So they all fall by default, pretty much. Most engines.
So are they just programmed to fall at the right speed? Can they program the speed? Because I don't think you know a lot about physics, but if I remember anything from physics in high school, gravity, like things fall at 9.8 meters per second is how fast they pick up speed. So can they program the games and these softwares to just automatically make it roughly this much time, so it emulates, say, well, what concept of distance do video games have too? Because that'd be another part of it.
I don't understand. When you're looking at it, like if I go into Unreal Engine right now, which is a video game software, a software to make video games. If I go into Unreal Engine right now and I have a character and I hit play and he does fall, he doesn't fall like a crazy speed or like a crazy slow speed.
Right.
He does fall like a normal speed. So someone when they were making the software for other people to make games, someone did have to put in that math, that code at some point, and figure out what most characters would fall at.
That's really interesting to think about. There's a lot involved in that too. Like
there is.
Because does everything fall at the same rate?
No.
It's in the like what doesn't?
Well, okay, so like
could you
like the whole bowling ball feather thing?
Yeah, so that's an air resistance thing.
Yeah. And you've probably seen a video like that where they take the air out of the chamber and then they fall at the same rate.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do in physics. What they do, Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about this on the podcast the other day, and he did it in physics class in high school too. But what will happen that people don't really understand the concept of when they start is like they said on a much bigger scale on the podcast. If you took a bullet and just dropped it like that, and you shot the same bullet, the same weight, all that, out of a gun, both of them would hit the ground at the same time, which is mind-boggling to think about in a way.
Yeah, I can't understand any of that.
But this horizontal distance doesn't really matter. So in in the high school class, he had like a little contraption basically that he strung up just like a little metal ball here and another one here. And on this side, it shot it out this way, and at this side, it just let go of it, so it fell. And this is like first day of physics class, probably for any physics class, I would imagine.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, and he went around and asked everybody, which one's going to hit the table first, the one that's just falling or the one that's being shot outward. And the answer is, if they're the same weight and the same shape and all that, they're going to hit at the same time, because this distance does not affect how much gravity pulls it towards the ground.
Yeah.
All that really affects that is the air resistance. In the real world, there is that force, but for like basic physics classes, you usually just kind of disregard the fact that that's there and assume that everything's falling at 9.8 meters per second. So if you went into one of your programs and like, is there a way for you to make a sheet of paper and a golf ball or a feather and a bowling ball
fall differently?
And would they just automatically fall differently, or would you have to make them fall differently?
You'd probably have to make them fall differently, because if you put like
how would you do that?
I don't know. I
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
We finally got to that point.
Yeah, if you put a 3D like piece of paper that you made in a program into the video game engine, and you had a 3D golf ball in there, like they look like their real life counterparts. But yeah, the engine isn't set up by default to recognize those as two different real life things. It just sees 3D model here, 3D model here, fall at the same time. So yeah, a programmer or someone would have to go in and give like some kind of physics to the paper so it would fall very slowly.
So it would have some programmer or physics nut would have to kind of combine forces. So that's not like the animator's job, or
probably not.
That's probably the programmer's job.
I don't know. There are people who, like I said before, there are people who specifically like do that physics stuff where it's kind of like game physics. There are people who specifically like have a little bit of both knowledge, and it kind of makes this third weird kind of job.
Right. Well, you play a game, especially, a good common game. I don't play a lot of games, but it's like you get to the end of a game and there's all these credits. And it's like, Jesus, how many people are involved in the making of a game? And like, they're paying all those guys salaries. You have to start wondering, how much do these games actually make from just selling?
Yeah.
And how many copies of a game do you have to sell to pay everybody off and still make a profit? It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have any more questions on that. Maybe we can finally get to the actual topic. How long have we been going already?
Half an hour.
Oh my God. It's going to be a long one today.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
That's okay.
I don't know. What time do you have? You have to go at like 5 or something. Anyway, I'll go for 3 hours for all I care. But Jesus, that was half an hour. My guess was going to be 20 minutes. So I guess I wasn't that far.
Well, it's 20. It's 28 minutes technically.
Yeah.
But
so still, that's closer to half an hour. Okay, so what we actually wanted to talk about today was tipping. We didn't do. Neither one of us did a lot of research on this. I did what I always do. I watched an episode of Adam Ruins Everything that talked about it a little bit. And I was going to look up to see if there was a Stuff You Should Know podcast on this, but I didn't get the chance to do that now. So I'll do it right now. But like, I don't know. What do you think of the tipping system?
I mean,
fucked up.
At face
pretty fucked up.
At face value, not knowing much about it, I kind of don't necessarily believe that tipping should be as required as it is now.
Right.
I think you should tip if you genuinely believe that your waiter or waitress, whatever the case may be, we'll just use restaurants for this example just because they're the easiest to talk about tipping with.
Well, they're pretty much the only ones that still require it.
Yeah, I know.
So, like,
yeah, you're right.
By the way, Stuff You Should Know does have a podcast on this, so I should have listened to that.
That's okay. We'll wing it. Then we'll have a part 2.
Yeah.
After we gather information.
Now we won't have to think of a topic next week. But
yeah, okay. So So yeah, my opinion on it is if you shouldn't be required to for their salary, I think they should be paid, like a normal
wage.
Well, minimum wage, depending on the restaurant, maybe a little more. Yeah, but a regular wage like everyone else, that's steady, doesn't change.
Yeah.
And then if a customer comes in, they're very happy with their experience, yeah, tip them a couple bucks, sure. But I don't think that it should be their paycheck.
Well, yeah. No, yeah, that's definitely true. And if we got rid of tipping, then it wouldn't be able to be their paycheck. Then they would just have to pay them normal amounts of money. Okay, so who all do we actually tip? Because the main two are bartenders, waiters, and waitresses. Do you tip delivery drivers?
Depends. Sometimes it depends.
Yeah.
You know how Uber has the tipping feature.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Okay, so apps and stuff like that nowadays, like Uber or like Fiverr even, they give you that option to tip people, and that's cool. Like, I guess that's basically how it should be. Okay, it's like there's literally no reason for you to do this, but if you thought their service was above and beyond, throw them a few bucks. We'll give you a platform to do that with. But in terms of people you're quote unquote supposed to tip, or else you're a bad human being in American culture. I think it's really just bartenders, waiters / waitresses, and delivery drivers, which even delivery drivers, I don't tip 9 times out of 10. I won't tip a delivery driver.
Well, because you're already paying them like the money that they're making is you ordering, the company gets a cut, they get a cut.
Yeah. I don't know how. Basically, I know delivery drivers always get paid at least minimum wage, just like everybody else in the world. They're not part of the waiter, waitress, like restaurant staff that you're allowed to pay less than that because they get tipped. And
oh, sorry, maybe I was thinking a bit more like Uber Eats and stuff.
Yeah.
You're talking more about like pizza delivery guys.
Pizza guy.
Yeah, I'm talking like Uber Eats and
or
stuff.
Like
sorry,
Chinese guy. But like even at Domino's, I've seen around here, delivery driver positions being advertised for like $4 or $5 above minimum wage. So I'm like, why would I tip them at that point? Plus, you're paying a delivery charge, which I guess is more so for the gas, but it doesn't usually cost like $4 in gas to get from the nearest Domino's to here. People have really weird conceptions about how far they can actually get on a dollar amount of gas, because I mean I've been guilty.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
No, but like we have this one friend that'll like drive us to town all the time, and it's like some of these people think it takes $20 in gas to get from here to the city and back, and it takes probably like 80 cents in gas at the most to actually do that. Like, you got to think how often you actually drive before you start saying, I'm going to need $20 to fill up my tank after I make this one trip, because that's just not going to happen. But yeah, back to delivery drivers and tipping them. I usually don't. We ordered a pizza last week, and I was like, should I tip them? And we were like, no. And then I got the little receipt. He was like, go sign here. And there was like a place to leave a tip. And I was like, whoops. And then I was like, I just gave it to him anyway. But
yeah,
I don't think we should tip anybody. I think it is a very, very bizarre system. I forget where it like came from, whose idea it was in the first place, and whose idea it was to follow up with that and be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. But like, because
like tipping without it being their pay, I think is a good idea.
Well, like, is that even tipping at that point, or is that just? That's the other weird thing, is that I don't know if it's actually true or not, but we have like that weird conception that if you work at Walmart, or if you work as a cashier, or it's something that makes an actual salary, like you're not allowed to accept tips.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't know if that's against company policy. It probably is against company policies a lot. I can see that. I don't think that would be against the law, but it's like, where do you draw the line between tipping and just giving someone money? Because it's not illegal for me to just hand you $5, but if I came and visited you at the Dietrich and you were working the ticket booth, and I was like, hey, you're really awesome, here's an extra $5, and you just pocket it, which is essentially what I'm intending to have happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Some trouble would arise there.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's a weird system, but basically it goes back to somehow the restaurant industry gets away with making the customers responsible for paying their staff, which is just absurd when you really start to think about it. And like, if I owned like a t-shirt company or like a t-shirt stand, and I'm the owner of this t-shirt stand, and it's a small business, so I'm working the floor, but I own it, and I just hire some guy to stock shelves, and I stand behind the cash register and I take money and I answer questions and do that kind of thing. And someone comes up and buys, 2 t-shirts for each $30.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, your total $60, and I'm gonna make $60 off of this, but I want you to tip the stock boy for doing his job, or I want you to decide if the stock boy gets to actually eat tonight. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting. Are doing it. That's literally what's happening in restaurants, and I don't know why we don't act like it's weirder than we do act like it is.
That is kind of what happens, and
put it on top of.
Yeah, that's interesting when you put it in a different context like that.
Yeah, well, that's a good debate strategy, is putting the same thing in a different
context. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really weird. I was talking to Jake about this the other day, and he said he had an experience. Well, a friend of a friend of a friend had an experience once. I'm not going to disclose who it is or anything, but like, they went out to eat and they didn't have the money to tip, which I know people are going to start getting like pissed about that, right?
But it happens.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the money on them. Some people, like college students like us, might not always have the money on them.
But they might want to go. I don't know. Because my opinion in that case too, honestly, like in reality, with the way the system is that if you can't afford the tip, don't go out. That's not like my moral opinion. That's just my realistic opinion.
The logical opinion. Yeah.
And but anyway, they went out to eat. They didn't tip, and the waitress they had actually followed them out of the store, and like started like bitching at them for not leaving a tip.
Really?
Was like, like, hey guys, you should probably leave a tip. This is what I live off of. And
no way.
I guess these are, pretty modest people. Jake was saying that the restaurant's lucky he wasn't there with him, because he would have. I know him. He would have said something about it. He wanted to. He
started.
He's not like the mom at the retail store that like goes up and down a wall, and it's like, I need to talk to your manager.
Yeah, but like, he would definitely say something. He'd come up with some comments.
He told me like what he would say. I don't know if I'd be ballsy enough to say it. Lately,
I like to pretend that I am too, but I'm like, I'm not.
But I have been getting gutsier as I've like grown up and
self-awareness,
saying stuff like that. But I still don't know if I'd say that. But like, basically, it's like, I would have told her that this isn't a problem to bring up with me. This is a problem to bring up with your manager, the owner of the store, because it's not our responsibility. Like, why is it my responsibility to pay you to work here? Like, if you have a problem that you can't afford your lifestyle, or you can't afford any lifestyle, then you need to go into the back and bring that up with the guy who you're working for, who's obligated to pay you. Not me. It's not my job to make sure.
Yeah.
You eat. Okay, it was my job to make my own money so I could come here and eat. Not so that, like, I don't know. It is weird. And there okay, so here's the next thing I'll kind of try to segue into is, fuck, I just forgot what I was gonna say. But okay, first of all, I have 2 other topics. One of them just escaped me, but one that I can remember is why do we think, if the system is so bad like that, because I know you see it, we're 20 and 21 years old. We have friends that work as waiters and waitresses like everywhere, because it's kind of a 20, 21-year-old's job at this point.
That's just how it works out.
you can correct me if I'm wrong. I definitely do. You probably do too. Have seen the Facebook posts just moaning and whining from those friends of ours that have those jobs saying this person didn't leave a tip, this person left like a 2% tip, they shouldn't be coming out to eat if they can't afford the tip, so on and so forth. Why don't they go and get another job where they have to get paid an actual amount? Like, what do you think keeps these workers working as tip-based employees?
That is a good question, and I do see.
I mean, don't overthink it. I think there's an obvious answer.
Yeah, I know. I do see those posts once in a while. You are correct. I think a lot of people, because you also see the posts from people our age saying, "Hey, I need a job quickly. I need money, like really quick." That happens a lot too for kids our age, or adults our age, I guess.
I mean, people, since I got into this like business Instagram thing, I literally had just some person message me yesterday on Instagram, like slid in my DMs, and he was like, "Tell me more about affiliate marketing," and I was like, "Sure, what do you want to know?" And he was like, as the conversation carried on, basically what this guy said was, "Hey, I need to make money right now. What's the quickest, fastest way to do it? How much am I going to make? This, that, and the other." And I was like, "Buddy, that's not how this works."
Yeah, if you want to make quick money, you got to do something else.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you probably have to do something illegal. Like, easy money just isn't out there, or else everybody would be reaping it in.
Yeah, okay. If you want to make money quickly, there are legal ways to do it, but it's not going to be a lot of money.
Yeah, right, and
it depends on how much you need.
Hard ass work. And what people don't understand, I'm going to go on this soapbox for a second here. That's about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, is that, first of all, one of the podcasts I listen to all the time talks about like how the like the connotation of an entrepreneur has kind of changed, because the dude I listen to is probably in like his 40s, and he started his business when he was 19, and he always says at his time being an entrepreneur meant you were a freaking loser, and it meant that you were a lazy bum and you didn't want to get a job, this, that, and the other. And nowadays it's kind of become a little bit more cool to be an entrepreneur. They'll always say, and like the entrepreneurs are like the hipsters at like Starbucks with like their laptop.
And like, let's not kid ourselves. We both want to be cool too, just not like that. But
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying I'm immune to this, but like I don't sit at Starbucks and do it. I don't go.
We don't sit at Starbucks. We don't have like nice watches.
There's like this cliche like cool guy entrepreneur now.
No, you're right.
Sits on his laptop in like a coffee shop, like chugging down his $8.
Yeah, his and glasses and beanie.
Yeah, but like basically saying that it's become more cool to be an entrepreneur now, because now people have seen, I think, the success of entrepreneurs and think if you just call yourself an, because I'm always really hesitant to tell people I am an entrepreneur, because I'm really not, because I've made $400 through my own business, which
that's why I usually, when I tell people I'm an artist, I don't tell people I am an artist. I tell people I'm an aspiring artist.
Aspiring artist, yeah. I use the same thing, but I'll say aspiring entrepreneur if I have to.
Yeah, right.
But, because people outside of the entrepreneurship market or niche just don't get it, honest to goodness. And people inside of it are kind of like high and mighty about it. If they like already have a business going, or they want to sell you a course to teach you how to start a business, then they're like, "Oh, you can't call yourself an entrepreneur. You haven't done this, and this." Or even on like Shark Tank and stuff all that time, they'll say you're not an entrepreneur, you're an inventor.
You gotta earn the title.
But so it's like this thing you have to be earned, but at the same time, that kind of starts to question, how do you actually earn it? You know what I mean? But anyway, I forget where this started. But what people don't understand. Yeah, we were talking about this.
That's okay. You can keep.
We were talking about making money quick. That's how I came up with this.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that when you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to start a business, because what I see a lot of personally when I tell people I'm doing this thing, and they'll say, "Why are you doing that? Are you making money off of it?" I'll say no, and they'll be like, "Why do you keep doing it?" Like, it's not instant at all. Everything I'm doing right now, my website, my affiliate accounts, this podcast, my other
planning
podcast,
it for the future.
Literally everything is so I can have a full-time income by the time I'm 30 coming in through this. Like, I want to establish a following. I want to do this and that. But basically,
you want to set up multiple sources of income for yourself, so you're less likely to not have money when you're older.
That's the thing. Starting a business, being an entrepreneur, it's basically building a machine, right? And the thing is, whatever your machine is for doesn't do that task as you're building it. It's like you have to build the machine, then turn it on after you're done. So what people don't get about entrepreneurship is that it means going 4, 5, 6, 7, however many years with no paycheck whatsoever.
Yeah, people just, like, right off the bat, they're like, hey, where's the machine?
Yeah, basically, like, just turn this thing on and get it going. I'm like, no, it's not done yet. You know, it's like, oh gosh, it's so weird. But people don't understand the reason behind doing it. They don't understand my why. But it's because I want to set myself up now for the future, because I can live on ramen noodles and
we both can, yeah.
For the next,
we don't have
I'd rather do that. I'm 20 years old. I'd rather do that from now until I'm 30 than get a 9-to-5 job where I'm getting paid $50,000 a year. We'll go right with the minimum, and have to kind of pinch. I mean, that's an okay salary, but then you still kind of have to pinch pennies. You know, you still have to be aware of your finances. And I'm not saying it's ever good to not be aware of your finances, but odds are, if you're rich enough that you don't have to focus so much on it, you're probably naturally good enough at it that that's why you're rich in the first place. So it's kind of like a second nature thing at that point. But it's like, I'd rather be dirt poor for the next 10 years and wealthy when I'm 40 than just kind of be like living for the next 80 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually.
So basically my point there was, though, like, guys, if you don't get it, if you know someone that's trying to start a business and you keep asking them how much money you make, like, I've had so many people ask me, are you getting paid to make these posts on Instagram? Are you getting paid to do this podcast? I'm like, no, because that's not how it works. There's not some like magic money genie just like handing me money.
Yeah.
Doing the thing. The way it works in business is that all money is someone else's money. So if nobody's paying me anything for being on Instagram, and nobody gets paid specifically to Instagram. Nobody gets paid specifically to be on YouTube. They get paid to run ads on YouTube, or they get paid through affiliate links, stuff like that. There's ways to get money from other businesses through a platform. It's like a channel to
it's like the TV that has commercials. It's like the radio that has ads and commercials. It's the same thing. It's just different.
But people
same but different.
I keep like bouncing in this chair. But I'm like, but it's like so many people are out there just going for jobs. It's because, like most jobs, the way it works is you sit there for 8 hours, you do your work for 8 hours, and at the end of the day, you get a paycheck for X amount of dollars.
Right.
And they don't see, first of all, they don't see that money is not just like appearing. Like, it's coming from your company, and someone else in your company has to actually provide value to the world and make that money so that you can get your paycheck. And
yeah, right.
So there's that part first. And whoever's at the top of their company is not getting any steady income whatsoever. And that's the other thing I hate when people complain about the 1%, yada, 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 the rich folk, is that when you own a business, it's like you eat last. Because if I start a business and let's say I'm making, oh gosh, I don't know. Let's say I'm making like $500,000 a year. Well, my business is making $500,000 a year. But I hired a guy or I just hired 5 guys to run these parts of my business that I'm not good at, and I'm paying them all $100,000 a year. Then even though I have a business that's making $500,000 a year, I'm not making any money whatsoever because I have to pay off these expenses first. I have to pay off.
Yeah, you have.
I have to pay off everything else first, and then I just take what's left over at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like,
got to pay for rent. Yeah, it's got to pay for the employees, all that good
stuff.
It's
not easy. Like, people just think that these rich entrepreneurs are just like being given money, but it's like, in reality, they ate shit for 5 years. They slept on piss-stained mattresses in the back of their shops for lots and lots and lots of years. Everyone thought that they were just fuck-ups in life. And, it's like, where are they now? So that's my soapbox. I think I'm going to end it there. So if you want to make money quick, you're not going to, is the short version, unless you win the lottery. And then if you do that, you're way more likely than not going to piss it away. So, sorry if you're trying to do that, but how do we start talking about that in the first place?
Tipping and getting money quick.
I still don't remember how that actually came up. But anyway,
yes.
Well,
I mentioned on Facebook how one of the reasons people might get a job as a waiter or waitress is because they need money quick, and someone suggests in the comments, "Hey, I know a job opening at whatever restaurant." So that's partially the reason for why people are in those jobs. Now, some people just might like being a waiter or waitress. I don't know, but everyone's different.
I have my own theory on this. I'm gonna bring in, the jerk theory. Is that I think these people are staying in these jobs and taking these jobs because they know somewhere in their head that the tipping system is helping them more than it's hurting them. Because what they don't talk about, what they don't bitch and whine about on Facebook, is when someone leaves them a 300% tip. You don't hear about that. And I'm sure you do see Facebook posts about it sometimes, like, oh, some guy in this city left a $10,000 tip. And it's like, first of all, okay, you should be praising the 1% after that. But because that guy was in it. But I think it does help them more than it hurts them. And I think in the long run, they do make more money through tipping than they would through $7.25 an hour, $8 an hour job, because we've created that societal obligation to tip people 10, 15, 20% for no reason whatsoever. And I think because how often
that's the thing with waiters and waitresses. You don't have, it's not steady. You're right. Some nights you might have a low amount of money you made. Some nights you might have a ton of money that you made.
Exactly. It depends on how busy the restaurant is, of course,
or how good you are,
or how good. Yeah, if that
maybe you're bad.
That plays a role too. If you're not getting really great tips and you're a waiter or waitress or a bartender or whatever, it's probably your fault. Just saying.
But that's a good place to go with a lot of things, not just that.
Yeah. I think everything is. Well, I think everything's my own fault. I believe very strongly in a mentality that I read about in a book that you'll be a lot better off once you learn to blame yourself for literally everything, whether it's your fault or not. Make it your fault, because that will drive you to change it. That will drive you to make it not happen again. And I look at blame as control. So anytime I blame someone for something bad that happened to me or something that's not going right in my life, it's seriously just admitting that you don't have control over your own life. It really is. And so, it's I don't know. It's a concept that if you don't already understand, from what I've experienced trying to explain it to people, you're never going to understand. But that's how it works. If you rear end a guy and you go off for the next 3 years of your life bitching that it's because he stopped in front of you, or it's because he doesn't know how to drive, or it's because this, that, and the other, then you're going to rear end another guy at some point.
And for the record, if you rear end somebody, it's lawfully your fault. By law, it's your fault.
That's true too. But
that's another thing.
A sneak peek into our traffic episode, which is what we were going to do today, but we didn't. Another thing that I don't think people know as often, that I was trained by in driver's training, is that if you're stopped at a red light, okay, so here's the car in front of you, here's you. If some guy comes up and hits you in the back end and then pushes you into this car in the front end,
okay,
it's that guy's fault for hitting you. It's your fault for hitting the person in front of you.
Oh, okay. So
that's why I get really I have a real huge peeve for people that stop at red lights and they keep inching up into the car in front of them.
Yeah.
They're like, what's going to happen? I'm like, if the guy comes behind you and hits you and you're close enough to this car to hit them.
Yeah, I'm going to hit you and then I'm going to be mad. or yeah, no, you're the car in front. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're in the car in the middle, you're half responsible for like the total thing that happened. You're responsible for
those giant cartoon car wrecks and SpongeBob and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of different people's faults.
Like, it's not like just the guy in the back gets blamed. So like it's your responsibility to keep enough distance between you and the car in front of you to not hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you get hit. So just a sneak peek at one of the many laws I can bring up about traffic that people are just totally
neato.
So there is that. So learn to blame yourself for stuff, even if it's not your fault. Because the truth is, there's always something you could have done differently to make the situation not happen, even if it's not your fault. Because the example he used in the book, actually, which is kind of a little dark in case you need that warning, but he used the example of like just like this totally innocent guy went and picked his daughter up from her friend's house. They had a sleepover, something or other, or like it was late at night, and one of them got sick, so he's like, okay, I gotta go pick her up, whatever. And he drives back, and on the way back home, there's like an IHOP, which is, you know, like the hub for the college in the area, and he gets hit by a drunk driver on the way home, ultimately killing both of them, is where the story went. Like, obviously in that situation, it's the drunk driver's fault, like legally, all that, this and the other. But in the book, what the author said was, you'll be better off if you consider that your own fault for getting hit by a drunk driver, because you could have taken a different route, you could have gone at a different time, and it goes back to that thing of controlling your own life. If you start to learn to blame yourself for things like that, you'll have more of a grasp on the outcomes that happen to you in your life. So
and for the audience, you're not saying that it is the guy and his daughter's fault. You're saying the mentality of blaming it on yourself is what's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of am saying it's the guy's fault. Just you have to understand why I'm saying that, or else.
Yeah, right.
I have to.
Otherwise, you just sound evil.
But it's like there's always something you could have done differently, because at the end of the day, whatever happens to you happens. You can assign blame for the rest of your life. That's not going to change the fact that it happened. Okay, in the twisted scenario that I just had to give out there, no matter whose fault it was, it's not going to change the fact that this guy and his daughter died in a hypothetical car accident. So, you know, if you run a business and you get 20 grand stolen from your business, and you go around saying it's my accountant's fault, it's this guy's fault, this guy stole it, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're short $20,000, and you need to be more focused on how to not make that happen again.
Yeah, and that's what.
And who to blame for it happening.
Yeah, and that's what our parents tell us when we're young is Huh?
If they're good parents.
Yeah.
Our parents told us when we were young.
Yeah, sure there are two types of people in the world. There are winning players and there are losing players.
It goes into a Gary Vee. Winner's mindset, loser's mindset. So back to tipping. I still don't remember that point I was going to bring up, but the other thing is too, kind of what I was going towards there, is that, have you ever noticed that you don't see bartenders complain about the tipping system?
Yeah.
It's always waiters and waitresses.
Mm-hmm.
Because bartenders make tons of money from their tips. And that's why, like, there's just two sides to it at the end of the day. And it could help you a lot. It could dishelp you a lot. I'm sure that's not a word, but I'm going to make it one. And, you know, I guess if nobody at the restaurant you works at tips really big, don't work there. If they do, then keep working there. And if it seems, you know, in relation to how well your service is, which it probably is, then do a better job. Like, that's my advice to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't think customers have to tip you. I would say, you know, in America, if you don't tip after eating a meal, you're considered a piece of shit. That's just the way it works. But I don't view it that way. If I were to go out with someone and eat and they were like, I'm not leaving a tip, I'd be like, cool. I really would, because That's not your job. So I do remember in that episode of Adam Ruins Everything, there is a restaurant. There's probably multiple restaurants now since that aired that are starting no tipping policies. Oh, I remember what I wanted to bring up. How does it affect? I literally have it written down right there, and I still couldn't think of what it was that I wanted to say. How does it affect the customer? Aside from the fact that they have to cough up more money, but like, how much do you tip when you go to a restaurant? Just to get the ball rolling here.
Well, it's usually, what I've always been told is it's usually 18% to 20%.
18 to 20%. Okay. Yeah, I mean, people have said anywhere from 10 to 20, usually, from what I've heard. It's usually 15
and it also depends on what they're providing.
Yeah, that too. Because
but wait, you were talking about restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 18 to 20%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. And this, of course, goes into there are people with different mentalities, all that. And actually, Jake, what he told me he does is 10 for bad, 15 for the line, and 20 for above and beyond service is the way that he does his tipping. And what's happening is I don't really have an opinion on how much you should tip. If I do, it's 0%. But so where this is going is that you go to a restaurant, eat your meal. It sucks that every time you go, you've been there, I've been there, whoever's watching / listening has been there. It comes time, you're all done with your food, and everybody's like, okay, how much do we tip? And you just have no idea. Everyone's pulling out their phones and their calculators, and they're like acting like scientists, and they're trying to like calculate exactly how much to tip the person. And first of all, fun fact, if you like move the decimal over one place and then double it, that'll give you 20%. And so, wow. But even if not that, then some of these restaurants out there now are starting to implement no tipping policies. And what the reason they're doing that is, first of all, so they can just pay their staff the way that any other company in the world would have to, and they can have a steady, consistent income because their staff. We as humans like consistency and stability for some reason, which goes back to the entrepreneur thing I was saying, and why people don't become entrepreneurs is because they start to realize they have to go a long time making no money, and then even so the rest of their life like needing to actually make money and not just be having it handed to them by the higher ups. But we like consistency, we like stability, so usually it'll lead to a friendlier staff if you have a restaurant that has a no tipping policy, because they will have a steady income, and it'll also make the customer experience a lot more enjoyable, knowing, like, I know right now if I could go to whatever restaurant I wanted, just kind of knowing that at the end of the day I'm not going to have to be crunching numbers, doing math, trying to figure out how much I actually want to tip the person, and doing all this extra shit, and I can just focus on eating, then the customers will be a lot happier. So it kind of just makes everybody happier when we pull tipping out of the equation, which brings us back all the way back to where we started. Why is this still a thing? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know the laws surrounding it either. Like, who do we ask to stop the tipping thing?
Yeah, that isn't. Yeah, I mean, I never thought about that before.
Pretty certain there's a law saying if you own a restaurant, you are not required to pay minimum wage if your workers get tips. That's basically how it works. And then there's sick days and there's all this other stuff you could talk about. But in the end, everybody's happier if tipping just doesn't exist. I should look more into like other countries too.
That would be cool to see.
I don't really know how it works in other countries. I really don't think they have like as much pressure on it in other countries as we do. I know they have like
well, I'm curious to see places like Europe where like the tip kind of originated, sort of, or I don't know if, okay, scratch that. I don't know if the tip originated there, but like waiters providing an experience when you eat originated in Europe, as far as I could tell. And then from there you can kind of infer that tipping originated from that. Because
like I said, I don't know whose
because because the waiter or waitress provided such a good experience.
I really don't know whose idea it was to just be like, just like give their waiter like one of those trays and be like, there's your customer. I'm not going to pay you for doing this. You ask him to pay you for doing this. And
Yeah.
What the hell? That's what that comes down to. But I think everybody gets the point by now. I think I hit everything on my list over here. Should we keep this tipping system? No, I don't think so. Does it affect the customer? Yes, it does. It makes your dining experience involve math, and nobody likes math. So that's another reason we should get rid of it. How much should we tip? Depends on the service, and even so, probably not as much as you're because here's another thing I want to bring up, and I guess I kind of did, but it's like I don't like, in case people haven't figured it out by now, I don't like doing things because you're supposed to. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hate everything that's like that. I'm not saying I hate doing every activity that involves. I hate
because some of those things are good things.
I hate doing it for that reason, and I hate someone giving me that reason. That goes for tipping. That goes for buying Christmas gifts. That goes for getting dressed when you leave the house. It goes for literally everything. I mean, like, get dressed in something, but I mean, like, getting dolled up when you leave the house.
I know, yeah.
Don't just walk outside naked, please. But you know what I mean? Like the people that like won't wear sweatpants when they go out and stuff like that. And you ask them why, and it's like, because that's weird. Like, that's not a reason.
Yeah, I just say it's because I want to look nice.
Yeah, like you're judging yourself first of all, in any aspect. If you're being judged by someone, you're not actually being judged by someone. You're being judged by yourself. So learn to get over it, or learn to get over it. Those are your two options. So, but yeah, how much to tip? And is it for better or for worse? I think it's for worse for everybody. And I've heard that these restaurants that are doing the no tipping policies are doing a lot better in business because customers are going more. They don't have to worry about the tipping. The employees are trying harder and actually like doing their jobs well because they could get fired. They can get even benefits and stuff now are starting to creep into restaurants. I think that's a good direction for things to be heading.
Okay, yeah.
That's my 2 cents. Do you have any more cents to put in?
2 cents. No, not really. And I should probably go soon because I do have a project to get back to.
Okay, so he has a project to get back here to. Here are my literal 2 cents.
Yeah, your 2 cents. There you go.
And I guess we'll leave it at that. What are we doing? We're doing on time now, like an hour?
Almost an hour, 10 minutes.
Oh shit. Okay, so we held you guys here for a long time today, and you're probably not even still listening.
If you made it all the way through, you deserve a cookie.
You do deserve
a cookie. But you're not getting one.
We will also allow you completely for free to like this and subscribe to our channel. We're letting you do that. We're giving you permission. So go ahead and do that. Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, all that good stuff is down in the thing below. I still have yet to tell Gerard this actually, but if you're watching this like in real time, like when we upload it, if you're watching this like 5 years down the road, this probably isn't an issue. But if you're watching this like now or relatively soon to the time that this was uploaded, I don't know what the hell is going on with my website or any of the other websites, but we should probably stop linking those up for a while because I don't think they actually exist because I'm fighting with hosting services and stuff like that.
So for the next couple weeks, when I put stuff in the description, don't link to your website.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get off the mic. But anyway, guys, until next time, let's just cue the outro music.
Yeah. All right.
Swag out, guys.